Hi, I'm Ken. I'm 73 years old. I'm 3 months post-op total knee replacement surgery. And no, I'm not the guy that was on the treadmill running 2 days post-op, or the guy cross-country skiing at 2 weeks, or the guy at 1 month who flew to the Andes and hiked 10 miles a day with a backpack. No, I'm just like you. I just want to get back on my bike, and I was on the walker for about 10 days and then the cane for another week, and then I worked my way up to about 2 miles of walking. And I was lucky I had a home physical therapist who actually rode motorcycles. And I was trying to find out what would the criteria be for me to get back on my bike. And he told me that it depended a lot on what kind of bike you had, how tall your seat was, where your pegs were, and it all had to do with the riding angle. And I'll show you a little diagram here. As you can see, the sport bike has the most extreme riding angle. Your knee is bent and you're kind of pushing forward. And that would take, he told me, more than 6 months to be able to ride a sports bike. And then the adventure bikes, they were tall, they had a tall seat, and it depended on how wide they were and which leg you had done. If you had the left knee done, then you might not want to do an adventure bike because they're so tall and you're leaning over on that left leg at every light to keep the bike up. And then the cruisers were the easiest to get on, but if you had bad extension and your pegs were too far forward, then that could be a problem. But luckily I have a scrambler here. My seat height's about 32 inches and it's pretty much perfect for me. My riding angle, my pegs are almost straight down, so I have a good riding angle. I'm not bent too much and I sit straight up. So let's go on a ride and we'll talk about getting back on this bike and how I rehabbed and what exercises I did. So I'm out with my two kids. They're going to keep an eye on me. I'm just going to go out for maybe a half an hour ride just to see if I cramp up or I have my balance on the bike. Now, I started riding bikes when I was like 15. I rode motocross and I moved up all the way to Goldwing. And then when I started having knee problems, I had a big leader bike and it weighed like 600 pounds. And I just didn't feel comfortable on it. So I ended up buying a sidecar rig. And it just wasn't like riding a real motorcycle. I mean, it was a lot of fun. You could take your dog with you and things. But it wasn't like riding a real bike. So I kind of missed that. And then before my knee surgery, my kids said, well, why don't you sell that thing and just buy a lighter bike? And so we went out and we looked at bikes, and I found this one. It weighs about 400 pounds. It sits fairly high. I mean, not real high, 32-inch seat. So it's pretty easy to ride. I can get on and off of it. I can swing my leg over the back. So I'm pretty comfortable on this bike. I've taken it on a 300-mile trip with a kind of a bad knee before the surgery, and it was pretty comfortable. So I'm happy with this bike. I'm not a freeway kind of guy, so I don't usually go on the freeway or ride at night. So we usually trailer our bikes to somewhere where we want to ride, because we like to ride twisties and backcountry roads and stuff. So this is like the perfect bike for that. Now, my rehab didn't go really good. The first 2 weeks I was in a lot of pain, especially that first 10 days. And my knee really swelled up and it was really stiff. And it pretty much stayed that way until about a month ago. And then all of a sudden, the swelling and the stiffness kind of went away. And and I could walk a little bit longer. Up until about a month ago, I could just barely walk a mile. Now I could walk probably 3 miles, but I walk 2 miles every day. My exercise regime is doing 60 step-ups like you do in PT, and then 60 side steps, and then 60 heel slides, and then 60 squats, and then 60 side leg raises and 60 regular leg raises. I do that broken up into 2 sessions a day, so 30 at each session on all those exercises. And that really helped a lot. The swelling went down. I was on my exercise bike every day for about an hour, and I was riding my bicycle about a half an hour every day. And so that was pretty much my routine, and it seemed to work. So we're going to get up a little bit of speed here, and we'll get on a little toll road that's not very congested. We're in Port Canaveral right now, which is just north of Cocoa Beach. Well, that went pretty well. I didn't get any cramps. I was okay at the lights. So I think I'm good to go here. 3 months for this type of bike. Remember your riding angles and what kind of bike you're going to be on. Well, that's about it. I might see you guys again in September. We're doing Blue Ridge Highway and Skyline Drive. I think that's about 600 or 700 miles on the bikes. And look for us in September. You guys have a great day. Bye.